Today is July the 15th. Was the unjust steward a good guy? Well, let's read Jesus' parable of the unjust steward or the dishonest manager. This is Luke 16. We're going to read the first 9 verses of that parable. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "There was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was squandering his property. So he summoned him and said to him, 'What is this that I hear about you? Give me an accounting of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer.' The manager said to himself, 'What will I do now that my master is taking the position away from me? I'm not strong enough to dig. I'm ashamed to beg. So I know what to do. I decided what to do so that when I'm dismissed as manager, people may welcome me into their homes.' So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he asked the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' He answered, 100 jugs of olive oil.' He said to him, 'Take your bill, sit down quickly. Make it 50. Then he asked another, 'How much do you owe?' He said, 100 containers of wheat.' He said to him, 'Take your bill, make it 80. His master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the children of this age are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourself by means of dishonest wealth, so that when it's gone, they may welcome you into their eternal homes.'" What a strange story. This is unlike any other parable that Jesus has ever spoken. Here he appears to be praising someone for lying and cheating. Is that what he's doing? Well, there are 2 interpretations of this parable. One is straightforward. It says, well, the master didn't praise the conduct of the unjust steward. He praises his shrewdness, his intelligence in trying to build for himself a future. But there is another possible interpretation. I tend to favor the second. That is, this parable is ironic. When you read it, you almost have to flip it around and understand the opposite. In that sense, really, when you come to verses 8 and 9, that the master praised the unjust steward and make friends for yourself by means of dishonest wealth, they're almost questions instead of statements. Would the master praise the unjust steward? No, he wouldn't. Should we make friends by using dishonest wealth? No, we shouldn't. This tends to be emphasized or validated by the very last statement, so that when the dishonest wealth is gone, they may welcome you into their eternal homes. It's interesting here that the word home is not the usual Greek word for a house like you and I would live in, or a word for a palace. It's the word for the temporary shelter built during the time of the Festival of Booths. They would make a shelter that was only intended to last a week. They'll receive you into their eternal booth. Well, the booth is not intended to be eternal. That tends to me to say, now, this is irony. So what about the unjust steward? You know, in the Old Testament, we have the story of another servant who was unjust. We read before the story of the healing of Naaman, but we didn't finish that story. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 5. We'll read about Naaman again, but then we'll see what Elisha's servant Gehazi did afterward.
2 Kings 5, verses 1 through 27, New Revised Standard Edition. Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Aram, was a great man in high favor with his master, because by him the Lord had given victory to Aram. The man, though a mighty warrior, suffered from a skin disease. Now the Arameans, on one of their raids, had taken a young girl captive from the land of Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his skin disease." So Naaman went in and told the Lord just what the girl from the land of Israel had said. And the king of Aram said, "Go then, and I will send along the letter to the king of Israel." He went, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of garments. He brought the letter to the king of Israel, which read, "When this letter reaches you, know that I have sent you my servant Naaman, that you may cure him of his skin disease." When the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and said, "Am I God to give death or life, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his skin disease? Just look and see how he's trying to pick a quarrel with me." But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent a message to the king, "Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come to me, that he may learn that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and halted at the entrance of Elisha's home. Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, "Go, wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean." But Naaman became angry and went away, saying, "I thought that for me he would surely come out and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and wave his hand over the spot and cure the skin disease. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean?" He turned and went away in rage. But his servant approached him and said, "Father, if the prophet had commanded you to do something difficult, would you not have done it? How much more when all he said to you was, 'Wash, be clean'?" So he went down and immersed himself 7 times in the Jordan. According to the word of the man of God, his flesh was restored like the flesh of a young boy, and he was clean. He returned to the man of God, he and all his company. He came and stood before him and said, "Now I know that there is no God in all earth except in Israel. Please accept a present from your servant." But he said, "As the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will accept nothing." He urged him to accept, but he refused. Then Naaman said, "If not, please let 2 mule loads of earth be given to your servant, for your servant will no longer offer burnt offering or sacrifice to any god except the Lord. But may the Lord pardon your servant on one account. When my master goes into the house of Rimmon to worship there, leaning on my arm, and I bow down in the house of Rimmon, when I do bow down in the house of Rimmon, may the Lord pardon your servant on this one account." Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, thought, "My master has let that Aramean Naaman off too lightly by not accepting from him what he offered. As the Lord lives, I will run after him and get something for him." So Gehazi went after Naaman. When Naaman saw someone running after him, he jumped down from the chariot to meet him and said, "Is everything all right?" He replied, "Yes, but my master has sent me to say, 2 members of a company of prophets have just come to me from the hill country of Ephraim. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of clothing." Naaman said, "Please accept 2 talents." He urged him and tied up 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of clothing and gave them to his servants, who carried them in front of Gehazi. When he came to the citadel, he took the bags from them and stored them inside. He dismissed the men, and they left. He went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said to him, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" He answered, "Your servant has not gone anywhere at all." But he said to him, "Did I not go with you in spirit when someone left his chariot to meet you? Is this a time to accept silver and accept clothing, olive orchards and vineyards, sheep and oxen, and male and female slaves? Therefore the skin disease of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever." So he left his presence diseased, white as snow.
So in that story, after Elisha heals Naaman, Gehazi tracks down Naaman, and he lies to him, and he gets for that 2 talents of silver and 2 changes of clothing. Well, when he returns to talk to Elisha, Elisha knows exactly where he went. He says, Gehazi, where did you go? And he said, nowhere. Elisha says, nah, I saw you. I know where you went. Naaman's leprosy is now your leprosy. And Gehazi was a leper for the rest of his life. So what do we do about this today? Well, what have you been given? Let's be faithful with what God has given us. Being faithful in a little will mean a lot. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. Let's Find Out Together has a companion podcast called Salty Saints. Zach Kelly and I discuss apologetics, theology, and Scripture. Look for Salty Saints on your favorite podcast app.